Hey there, fishy folks. It's Alex Williamson here with The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium with a segment of FISHTORY on the Aquatic Morning Show. So, yet again, it is a daily segment that is on the Aquatic Morning Show. Hey Jess, what's going on? And you can check it out there, usually midway through their show. And you can also check it out if you're a member on my community tab. I always post it there first, plus all my sources, the articles, and any cool info that I found that's extra tidbits. So today we're going to be talking about something that happened today in FISHTORY, which is, well, okay, probably a lot of things happened today in whatever, years ago. But specifically, March 21st, 1837, there was something that happened, and that was that Theodore Nicholas Gill was born. And by the way, he lived till 1914. Born in 1837, lived in 1914. He was a U.S. ichthyologist, and he was associated with the Smithsonian Institute. Now, he actually worked for them for over 50 years, which is a long run, and it appears that he has described more than 750 species, or taxia, and is honored in the names of 3 genera named after him, of fish specifically, as well as in the names of dozens of fish that either have the name Gilli or Gilii as the last part of their name in Latin. So Gill produced more than 500 papers on different species in the course of his career, and 388 of them were on different fish species, but he also covered birds, mammals, mollusks, and other life forms that he came across. He had a pretty big passion for general biology in general, and after Lewis and Clark had first opened up access to the western United States for the, let's call it the European world, he had gone forth into the Pacific and started to catalog and name a lot of the creatures there in the 1850s, and as settlers were finding the area and settling where the Indians also had been for thousands of years. In any case, so he formed the basis of the arrangement of how the Smithsonian organizes all of their biological specimens now, and specifically he set up and founded their ichthyology department, as well as helped coin that term ichthyology as a study. He was born and educated in New York City, and he was rich, as most people that were naturalists were. He had private tutors, and he showed a really early interest in all things living and biological. He was associated with J. Carson Brevoort, and he was another ichthyologist and naturalist that came before him, and he kind of studied under him and finally moved to Washington, D.C. in the 1860s to work at the Smithsonian. So he cataloged the mammals and then the fishes, and he fell in love with the fishes. He maintained a proficiency in pretty much Latin names of all the different creatures of different kingdoms, but fish were his one true love, really. He became a senior assistant to the Library of Congress also, so anything having to do with fish that's archived there, he put there for his lifespan. And he was also a member of the American Philosophical Society, which sounds like a bunch of rich guys smoking pipes and drinking, gin or something like that. But he was a professor of zoology officially at George Washington University, and he was also a member of the Megatherium Club at the Smithsonian Institute. Fellow members frequently mocked him for how vain he was. He's a pretty good-looking dude if you see old portraits of him. But he became a president of the American Association for the Advancement of Science in 1897, which by that point he was pretty old, and he's got this great, massive, gnarly beard, and pretty regal-looking guy. So in any case, we have him to thank for how we've organized a lot of the species and for how we cataloged and discovered a lot of the species first noted out in the western part of the United States, specifically freshwater fish, some saltwater too. But that's one thing you can remember that happened this day in history. I'll talk to you guys later. Back to you, Jess. Hey everybody, what's going on? Yet again, it's Alex Williamson here with The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium, doing FISHTORY, where I do brief segments on fish, history, new academic research, old academic research, and everything in between relating to freshwater and saltwater fish, or the hobby. So, today we're going to be talking a little bit about fish that make noise. Now, last week I talked about a cool new project called fishsounds.net, and it's a place where you can go and upload and or find noises that different species make, or unidentified noises that we're trying to figure out which species is making, like in a reef when you see a lot of fish but you can't target where it's coming from. And basically that was kind of a cool little program. Well, it turns out that there is some new research coming out, and it's pretty cool because a lot of times I jumped the gun on speaking there, but a lot of times fish have gotten the short end of the stick, and it has been assumed that they're dumb or ancient, and so therefore they're inferior in their evolutionary layout, so to speak. But it looks like a lot of fish can talk. So an article and a study was done by Cornell University. The authors looked at a branch of fish called ray-finned fishes. These are vertebrates that have a backbone, which comprises 99% of the world's known species of fish. And they found that 175 of the families, that's 2/3 of all fish on Earth, either do or likely do communicate with sound. So by examining the family tree and evolution of these fish, the study authors found that sound is very important in these groups of fish. It seems to have evolved at least 33 separate times in different lineages, and over millions of years, that biology became something useful in many different groups of fish. So at the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences, they had a quote that they put out with this, and the quote reads, "We're getting away from a strictly human-centric way of thinking. What we learn now could give us some insight onto how divers and other people working underwater may communicate. Our thinking continues to evolve and is probably just beginning to scratch the surface of the subject." So the scientists used 3 sources of information in this study, and they used existing records in papers that describe sounds fish make and the known anatomy of whether fish could make sounds, having the right tools to make sounds, like certain bones that they rub together, or a swim bladder, air bladder, lungs, certain muscles and sphincters that allow them to constrict and either spray out water or trap air and things like that. And then also they put new microphones in the water. And between all those things and examining the lineages between them, they found that 2/3 of fish probably do make sound. And sound communication is often overlooked, like within these fish, but they do make up more than half of the different species living in this world that are not insects or, other little critters. So of all the vertebrates, half of them are fish. And the head of this research, his name was Andrew Bass. And that's right, he had a fishy name. He was, he said that probably they've been overlooked because fish are not easily seen or heard by humans underwater. And just because we can't hear them or understand them, we kind of just focused on whales and louder noises underwater. But fish have voices too. And so what they're trying to figure out is, what are the fish talking about? And pretty much what we know so far is they're talking about the same things that we talk about on the internet when you look in order of popularity. And that is sex, food selfies, food in general, and danger or conflict, averting being eaten, basically. And in the human terms, I guess that would be drama or danger and, conspiracy theories and stuff. So fish pretty much talk about what humans talk about, just on a much simpler level. So I just thought this was kind of an interesting study to say that there were so many fish that talk, and it's a good number of our aquarium fish also communicate this way. It may only be that they only have a few sounds for really important things like run or hey, it's mating season or whatever. But nevertheless, some of them are found to have 30, 40 different sounds that we've detected so far. And it may be that different combinations of those sounds mean different things altogether too. So some of these fish may have pretty complex languages. We know with mormyrids that they do with electronic signals. And sound waves are just another wave or pulse to communicate. So it's not that far out there to think that perhaps there are other fish that communicate this way as well. So that's the little tidbit for today, and I hope you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Back to you, Jess. Hello there, fishy people. So welcome to FISHTORY on the Secret History Living in Your Aquarium on the Aquatic Morning Show. So today we're going to be talking about a weird one. There is a new trend among fitness influencers on the internet, and that involves ingesting one of our most common substances to treat illness in the aquarium hobby. This commonly found substance is a fish tank antiseptic, and we know it as methylene blue. Now, some medical professionals have come out and publicly started to ridicule these people because it's crazy to be ingesting this. And in fact, the New York Post also even reported that methylene blue was a type of salt with antifungal, antibacterial properties that is used to clean fish tanks. That's not really right, and it can also be prescribed to treat methymoglobulin, which I don't know what that is. I guess it's a condition where the blood isn't getting oxygen to different parts of the body, something like that. So the Post then goes on to talk about that somebody figured out that because they used to prescribe this to get oxygen to parts of the body for like divers with the bends or whatever, that they should be consuming methylene blue because it would get oxygen to parts of the body that normally don't get it, like into the brain where, guys, apparently you need more oxygen. Yeah, and yes, blood flow and oxygen are important to the brain, but increasing them, people have done some crazy things like trypaning, which is trepanation is when you drill a hole through your skull. It's one of the oldest medical practices known, but in the 1960s and 70s, there were health gurus and kind of hippie types, I guess, that thought that you should drill holes through your skull and just take that bone and throw it away so that your brain could breathe, and that would bring more blood flow to it. And it does turn out that that brings more blood flow to your head because you have a giant gaping wound, and it breaks the blood-brain barrier if you do it. But back to the methylene blue thing. So this has caught the attention not only of the New York Post, but the Daily Mail also, which had an article that was describing how this wellness trend is gaining traction on Twitter and on Instagram and is being shared by popular influencers. Apparently a guy named Ben Greenfield has kind of popularized it, and he wrote of his love of the blue salt, quote unquote, and said it helps him maintain a healthier lifestyle so that he can keep running his Instagram channel. So what's that blue stuff on my tongue? No, it's a Jolly Rancher. It's not a Jolly Rancher. It's not a Smurf. Please, no Smurf jokes, he posted as he put a picture of himself ingesting the stuff on there. So this stuff is, don't eat it. Let me just say that first. But in case you're in doubt, the Australian Biomedical Journal and scientists associated with it, a guy named Darren Saunders, said, I have discovered that there is a trend of fitness influencers sticking methylene blue on their tongue as a metabolic or cognitive enhancer, and I can't stop laughing. And then I realized this is not good. So MSN.com also had an article about this and said that in the United States, medical professionals are also debunking this, but they've also seen a few cases in the ER, and they've warned that ingesting this stuff is harmful, and that when you ingest it, even at low levels, it can cause vomiting, diarrhea, discomfort in your stomach, cramping, ulcers, urination problems, and sodium imbalances. Now, if you do it chronically and eat this stuff for a long time, it has even worse side effects, up to and including organ failure and death, apparently, although the LD50 is really, really high and not practical. But here are some of the other effects for your listening pleasure that high doses will give you. Consistent coughing, chest tightness, wheezing, feeling of anxiety, discomfort, drowsiness, dizziness, disorientation, vertigo, auditory and visual hallucinations, organ failure, muscle twitching and cramping, and it is also marked as a probable carcinogen by the European Union. So don't eat your methylene blue. But thought that was interesting because there was also a suggestion during the last 2 years of medical issues, we'll call it, that somebody suggested using a product that was found in koi pond products to cure the Rona. And yeah, that didn't really pan out either. So please just don't randomly eat and try your fish medicines and fish tank cleaning and anti-infectant and antifungal stuff. It's gnarly. Don't eat it. All right. It's been Alex with The Secret History, living in your aquarium, doing FISHTORY on the Aquatic Morning Show. Back to you guys at the Aquatic Morning Show. Hello and welcome to The Secret History featuring FISHTORY. Me, I'm the FISHTORY guy. On the Aquatic Morning Show, or if you're a member of my channel, maybe you're just binging all this and you watched it on Monday. But welcome to the end of the week to the rest of you. I hope you're doing well today. So, when will the madness end? Or maybe in this case, you'll be happy about this. I don't know. But it turns out that in 2013, the Taiwan Agricultural Council decided to put together a bit of a PR stunt, and they made transgenic, or also known as glowfish, glow-in-the-dark fish, versions of convict cichlids and angelfish. In the last 2 years, the Glowfish Company, trademark, copyright, patent pending, also released a glow-in-the-dark beta. Well, it turns out that those angelfish that they made, that Taiwan made, that the company that created the patented glowfish in the U.S., which is actually not considered a fish legally, it is a drug. The FDA was who had to clear that. It was kind of confusing, but the patent is on the genetic research rather than the actual fish, because that would be crazy if you could patent a fish. But here's the long story short of the situation. They made a pink angelfish about 10 years ago that actually glowed in the dark. It didn't need a black light. It just glowed in the dark. It had, or glue in the dark? Glued in the dark? It glowed in the dark. And it was pretty cool. It was a showstopper. There's lots of articles and footage of it if you want to go see it. It's a lot of it's copyrighted, so I'm not going to post it here. But they do look kind of cool. They're like an off pink, not crazy neon pink color, and then you turn the lights off and they're a bright green, which they use jellyfish and sea sponge proteins, I believe. But now the convict cichlid and angelfish are being, somebody at the company tried to submit trademarks, which doesn't mean necessarily they're going into production, but they wanted the words glow angel or glow angelfish, which that's clunky, and glow convict or glow cichlid. They were also looking into acquiring, and they were denied on, I think, 2 of them. But in any case, it's something to keep an eye out for. So if you like glowfish, they've been pretty popular sellers, and it looks like they're not stopping anytime soon. They have the ability to do this to pretty much most fish, and unless they have bony outer shells or scales, rather. And so, I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. So if you like them, great. If you don't, Here goes the hobby. All right, guys. I hope that's an interesting enough note for you guys to end your week on. And if you guys have heard anything more about this, if you own a shop or something like that, I'd love to hear more, because it was kind of hard to research the information, and the patent office was really the only thing that substantiated any of the blogs and other places where I've been seeing the discussion of this the last 6 months or so. But I figured I'd open this can of worms and see what you guys thought. All right, guys, thanks for joining me this week again, and back to the Aquatic Morning Show. Thank you so much, Jess, and I hope you have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.